Where we have live video coming from. It isn't live, right, Ralph? It's close to live, but this is video that was taken a short time ago around the Lake Placid area, upstate New York, where they believe those two prison inmates who escaped a little more than 3 weeks ago are hiding out. If true, it would be not far from the Dannemora prison from which they escaped in the first place. Again, I don't know what has brought them to this area. We're told that they found another site with their DNA. This is not the same site before. Remember, they found in a cabin that was used by, ironically, personnel who worked at that prison. This is a different site, we're told, and would seem to indicate a pattern or a route of an escape that has, again, shown their DNA. So they think they're on their tail. But how did they get to this point anyway? Former mobster Louis Ferrante did time in that same prison in Dannemora. Says he actually paid off guards in a number of ways to get things he wanted. That was then. He's doing the good thing now. Very good to have you with us, sir. Thank you for coming. Before I get into those details, where do you think these guys are? I mean, you know the area a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, so if I was in that prison for about a month or so before I was transferred to another one, but I was in there and it was right near the Canadian border.
Right.
And what I would have done is I would have immediately went for the Canadian border. I mean, why waste your time trying to get through New York City or cross 50 states to get to Mexico? You go through the closest place where you think you could get away, and that would have been the Canadian border. The other thing I would have done is there's a count time every 4 hours in these prisons. So if I was looking for these guys from the very beginning, what I would have done is I would have said they're never going to get on a highway, even if they have a car, which they didn't, but they wouldn't get on a highway. They're going to take back roads.
We're told they could have had a car, but the woman there, you know the whole story. She either got cold feet or whatever, but they didn't get the car. But still, they could have hijacked one. They could have taken one.
That's why I say
we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, so let's say, Neil, they did get a car. I would have said they're going to stay with criminally minded guys. No, after a heist, after anything you do, you avoid highways, major highways. There could be roadblocks, there could be helicopters. What you want to do is stay on back roads. So even if you have a car, you're going to stay at a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. You're not going to exceed that. You can get off the road and make a run for it. So what I would have did is I would have said 4 hours to the next count from the last time from when they left, 45 miles an hour. My dragnet would have been 180 miles.
I would have concentrated my resources in that area. They had a 12-hour jump on these guys, to your point. But I want to know, and this is where I really want to go with your expertise, how it is they got the help they got on the inside.
It happens every day.
All right, well, how did you do it? How would you try to coax a guard, or what would you do?
These guards, to start with, just to get an idea of their character, they're not bad people. They're good people. They're just easily corrupted. And part of the problem is they're inside with murderers. And when your safety is at risk every single day and you're exposed to murderers, you want to be nice to them. You really don't want to be a big mean guy to them, knowing that there are shanks all over the prison.
Yeah, but what can they offer you in prison? I mean, in other words, how do you entice someone who's working in the prison to do something?
To start with, if it's a female guard, just as a lonely woman could be manipulated outside by a charmer, the same thing could happen inside prison, and that's what happened with this woman. If it's a male guard, it could be just exchanging favors. It could be, hey, you know what, I have some connections on the street, or I'm the big honcho here in prison, and if you're kind of close with me, you know, everybody's going to make sure that they respect you. And those guys their life is on the line every single day, especially in a max like Clinton, and you can't forget that. Now, I'm not excusing any guard for being corrupt. I'm just telling you the root of the behavioral problem.
I understand that, but in this case, and what's alleged with the male guard who helped out, is that he was secreting to them, allegedly, all the weapons and the hardware they were using to saw themselves out of there in the meat that was served in the prison. Now, I don't know at what point they got the weapons or the saws out of the meat. But how did that go down? I'll tell you how that
works too. We had a number of guards on the take in Metropolitan Detention Center in the mid '90s rather, and it was called Operation Badfellas when they got busted. we literally had over a dozen guys bringing us in food every single day, and basically how we corrupted them was money. These guys weren't making a lot of money, and we were able to flash some big bills in front of them.
But how are you able to flash big bills in front of them if you're in prison?
You get visits every day.
Oh, I see.
You get a visit. You tell the guy, meet my buddy on the outside. He'll meet you at the corner of Kings Highway and whatever it might be, and they meet and they exchange money and they exchange also.
I understand, but in the case of the secreting in the stuff that you would saw yourself out of there with in the hamburger meat, Now, they weren't necessarily on a good behavior award, but because they were deemed less threatening and they were on the up and up, at least appeared to be, to guards and the prison authorities there, they were granted a few more freedoms than other inmates, right? So
yeah.
Who else would see the meat before these guys would? Because I could just picture, if I were there and I would chomp it down on a hamburger, I said, there's something metal here. But what?
Yeah.
What happened?
So you could get, I mean, you're not going to have, if nobody's looking for it, you're not going to find it. But just to rewind 1 second, that on a block thing, you got murderers, Neil. You got murderers that are, on good behavior, and they're working towards, like, really being given, like,
I don't understand
privileges.
how that happens, you know?
Exactly. I mean, like, give me a break. These guys are in an honor block because they've really been nice. They chop people up. They're killers. I mean, there is no honor block for these guys. And I'm an advocate of certain people, getting reduced sentences and stuff. But the bad is the bad. The trash is the trash. You want to kill somebody. You want to chop them up in pieces. You spend your life in a crap cell. That's what you do. And that's the way it's supposed to be. There is not supposed to be an honor block. There's not supposed to be any privileges for those guys.
Well, there obviously were. But I've got you. We had before and after pictures of these guys, or what we think they look like now. Now, you can't see from where you are, but we have the before picture, Ralph and Mikey, if we could show. This is the before picture, how they look. This is now the picture, how we think they look now. There's absolutely zero difference. All right, but my point is, it's a little bit of difference. I got a little bit of growth and all. But don't authorities know that? Obviously, they've provided pictures like this to say, all right, this is how these guys look now. They would obviously have to come up with clever or more clever disguises, right?
Yeah, what I would think also, too, is these guys are geared towards self-preservation. They're hardened convicts.
Right.
Everybody's treating them like these guys are Thelma and Louise. They're making this glorified run for freedom and stuff. Are they going to split up? Are they not going to split up? Every time one of those guys takes a nap, the other one is looking at him going, should I blow his brains out now? Because if they did split up,
so you think they're still together? You think they're still together?
They may be, but let me tell you something. I would be sweeping those woods with a cadaver dog, too, and they're crazy not to. You take a cadaver dog with you in case one of them killed the other one already, and at least you find the body. And let me tell you something. The worst that could happen, Neil, is you sweep those woods for the first and last time you've done it in probably decades, and you may even crack a couple of cold cases up there and find some bones. But if you really get lucky, one of them may have killed the other one, and you may find his body.
Well, I never thought until you said that they have found DNA, but they didn't indicate whether it came from one or both former prisoners. Yeah. That's a very good point.
Neil, if these guys are going to split up, one of them is going to be smart enough to say he could get caught a mile from here and point his finger in this direction. He's got to go. And these guys are really, really, I mean, the epitome of self-preservation. There's no niceness. They're not chummy. They're not buddies. They're buddies for as long as they have to be. That's a prisoner.
That is really very interesting stuff. Very interesting. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you, Neil.
All right. In the meantime,